Hey guys, welcome back. If you want to see how I created this look, stay tuned.
Call us texting. You said, baby, don't be mad. You know how brave it is. Come up in your mouth. You speak good to me. I ain't built like you.
Starting off with primer, I'm using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I'm going to use that all over my skin. Very good dupe to this primer is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. Personally, never tried it, but a lot of people tend to compare the two. And I think if you're looking for an affordable version of the Milk Hydro Grip, definitely try out the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I love the Milk Hydro Grip Primer because it gives such a good grip and it just makes my makeup stay. Just look at that grip on my skin. Going off into foundation, I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way Matte Foundation. A dupe for this foundation is the Maybelline Superstay Foundation. I'm in the shade Chestnut in the Too Faced Born This Way line, and I'm in the shade 340 in the Maybelline foundation line. So I'm just spreading the foundation all over my skin as evenly as possible, and I'm going ahead to buff it into my skin with a brush. This brush is from Real Techniques and I really love how it just blends everything into my skin. Definitely use a brush to blend your foundation if you're a brush girl, or use a sponge to blend your foundation into your skin if you're a sponge girl. I like to use the two just because it gives me a very flawless base. It takes off any excesses. The brush blends out the foundation seamlessly onto my skin, and then the sponge just takes off any excess all over my skin. I really like to combine the two. As you can see, I'm not putting a lot of foundation under my eyes just because I'm going to be going in with concealer today. This is my sponge. It is a damp sponge. I put it under the running tap and make sure the water is saturated in it. I squeeze off any excess water, and then I tend to squeeze the sponge into a towel to take off any excesses so that it is damp and not wet. Please don't use a wet sponge all over your face. I feel like it's going to mess up your base. The next step is for concealer. I'm using the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Butterscotch. An amazing dupe for this is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. So I'm just putting the concealer under my eyes, the bridge of my nose, my mustache area, and a little bit on my forehead. And I'm going to let that concealer sit while I go ahead and apply my stick foundation from Juvia's Place. A dupe for this is the Black Opal Stick Foundation. I'm going to go ahead and blend my cream contour into my skin. I'm starting off with my forehead. As you can see, I'm blending it into my hairline, and I'm going ahead to blend what is at the hollows of my cheeks. I definitely do not go with product directly onto my jawline just because it looks muddy, honestly, and I just avoid that. So I just use what's left on the brush onto my jawline. Now I'm going to go ahead and blend my concealer in with my brush. This is the Seamless Highlighting Brush, I believe, from Real Techniques. If I'm mistaken, I'll put the name of the brush down below. I'm just buffing this concealer into my skin. This is not a drying concealer, so I allowed it to sit on my skin. It just gives me seamless coverage and it just makes everything look so freaking good. I love this concealer. However, if you can't afford it, if it's not in your price range, I suggested the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, which is a dupe for this concealer. It's also hydrating, it doesn't dry down fast, and it's full coverage. The shade range is amazing, just as the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. Now, to get your base to look flawless, you might find me doing this, going back and forth with my brushes. But I'm going in to blend out the edges of my concealer with my foundation brush. I didn't go in with any excess foundation. I'm just using the brush that I used to blend my foundation in, so that it just makes everything look seamless. So as you can see, the harsher parts isn't blended out and this part is blended out, and that's what you should be doing. You should just go back in with your brush or your sponge, whatever you use to blend out your foundation at the time. Just use that to blend out the edges of your concealer so that it doesn't look too harsh. Now, I personally like to do a bright under eye, and I'm going in with the e.l.f. concealer, the 16-hour concealer. This is a matte version of the e.l.f. hydrating concealer that I suggested earlier. I like this concealer just because it's thick and it's amazing, and I really love the e.l.f. concealer line in general. I feel like it's an amazing affordable concealer, so if you definitely can afford that, go ahead and get that. I'm using the same brush that I used to blend out my concealer earlier. I'm just doing soft patting motions under my eyes just so the product doesn't spread out too much. Now I am going back in with my foundation brush and I am blending out the edges of the concealer. Now I'm going in with my damp sponge to blend out my face, just to, you know, the concealer, the foundation, wherever I feel like there's a little bit more product. I feel like there's going to need some extra blending. I just go back in with my sponge and I'm just patting that in. This just makes everything easier. I just go back and forth with my brushes and my sponge just to make sure everything is nice and seamless. And as you can see, it's looking nice and seamless. Now I'm going back in with my contour brush with no extra products. Guys, I'm just blending out the area where I applied my contour earlier. Now I'm going in with my liquid blush. I put that right in between my contour and my highlights, and I'm going back in with the brush that I used to blend out my contour earlier. I'm using the Rare Beauty blush, and an amazing dupe is the Revolution Makeup Super Dewy blush. These blushes are on different price ranges and you can definitely choose whichever fits into your budget. They work the same in my opinion. And I'm just, you know, patting the concealer into my skin now, and as you can see, it just blended in very seamlessly. Now I didn't forget to blend out my nose contour. I know some of you were a little bit nervous, but yeah, I like to do that last after I've blended everything in. I just went in with my Morphe brush and I am just making sure that that is seamlessly blended into my skin. Again, I'm going back in with my sponge. I told you guys I go back and forth. Now this might be too much for some people, but I like to use a pressed powder to set my under eye, especially when I'm doing the bright under eye technique. I go in with a puff and I'm just going to push a very thin layer of the powder under my eye. I'm gonna show you guys how it ended up looking like. It just looks really airbrushed and seamless. I don't know if you guys can tell, just setting it very gently. Like, it's so freaking beautiful. A dupe for the one size powder is the Maybelline Fit Me Matte Poreless Pressed Powder. Try it out and let me know what you guys think. It's an amazing powder and it's going to be a dupe for this one, and it's also very affordable, so it definitely can fit into your budget. Now look at how seamless the under eye looks. So freaking seamless. Now if you are the girl who doesn't want like a lot of coverage under your eyes, definitely use a loose setting powder. That's also fine. I do that sometimes. I use my Charlotte Tilbury loose powder. an amazing dupe is the SACHA Buttercup setting powder, which is much more affordable. Now the SACHA powder comes with different shades. I just found out recently, I was used to using the Buttercup shade, but there's actually a translucent one. So if you are not my shade, my skin tone, if you are lighter, you can definitely find the SACHA Buttercup in the translucent powder to fit into your budget. So I'm just pushing the loose powder everywhere that I applied concealer. I'm just being a little bit extra. I am pushing that under my eyes as well. Definitely skip this step if you have dry skin. And if your skin is a little bit mature, do not use so much powder under your eyes. Now all over my face, I'm going in with my LA Pro pressed powder in the shade Classic Tan, and I'm using my Real Techniques brush. I am obsessed with this powder. If you want a high-end version of this powder, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Pressed Powder is a dupe for this powder. So if you want to go high-end, definitely use the Charlotte Tilbury one. Now for bronzer, I'm using the Stalker bronzer in the shade Coconutty. I'm gonna go all over the places that I applied my cream contour earlier, you know, just to set that area. Now an amazing dupe for this bronzer is the Makeup Revolution Splendor bronzer. It comes in different shades from lightest to darkest, and it just works amazingly. It also blends out seamlessly, and it is a matte product. So I'm just going ahead to you know, contour my nose, just go over the contour on my nose that, you know, I applied earlier, and it just looks really, really seamless. Now I'm going in with a little bit of translucent powder, you know, just to clean up the sides of the bridge of my nose. You can definitely skip this step. I have a little bit of OCD when it comes to my nose contour. I want to make sure it is perfect. Yeah, and I'm just going in with my Real Techniques setting brush to dust off all the excess powder from the sides of the bridge of my nose. For blush, I am obsessed with this one from Juvia's Place in the shade Bella. I'm using my e.l.f. blush brush, and I'm just applying that where I applied my cream blush earlier, which is in between my contour and my highlights. I feel like it suits my face shape, so that's what I like to do. I put a little bit of blush on my nose, the tip of my nose. I'm extra, right? So you can just skip that. I'm cleaning up a little bit under my cream contour with just a little bit of translucent powder and my puff. You can skip this step. It's just me being extra. I just want to make sure everything is nice and seamless. Now to melt everything in, I like to use my MAC Fix Plus setting spray, and I like to go in with highlighter after I set my face. It just makes everything look so freaking good. And I'm applying my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Gold Deposit. An amazing dupe is the e.l.f. Cosmetics highlighter, so it can fit into your budget. It's very, very budget friendly. I really love e.l.f. products because they are affordable and high quality. So I'm just applying this onto the high points of my cheeks and, you know, tip and the bridge of my nose. For my lips, I'm using my Fenty Beauty Stunner Lip Paint in the shade Unveil. A dupe for that is the NYX Cosmetics Soft Matte Lip Cream. I feel like they work the same, they dry down the same, and the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream has so many shades available, so pick and choose what works for you. I am lining my lips with my Luxe lip liner from Juvia's Place. There are so many brown lip liners on the market, so you can just go to the drugstore and pick out whatever fits into your budget. I am being extra. I went in with a black pencil just because I was going to be applying a red lip, and I saw someone try this out on TikTok, and I just wanted to see how it would work out on my lips. Never tried this out before, so it's definitely new to me, and I must say it looked really good. So I'm using my Fenty Stunner lip paint in the shade Uncensored for the center of my lip. I said earlier, an amazing dupe for the Stunner lip paint is the NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream. Amazing shades, so many shades available on the market, and they are budget friendly. So yeah, I was talking on the phone at this time, so kindly ignore the fact that I kept, jaw jacking. So I'm applying my lipstick. I am obsessed with this lipstick. I don't know why I have not applied it in so long. Ended up looking so freaking pretty. So this is the end of the video. I definitely enjoyed creating this look. Let me know what you think down below, and I hope the tips and the dupes that I suggested really helped you guys. Like this video if you did enjoy it, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next one. Take care, guys. Bye.
You got some high hopes, baby. For me crazy, I'll tell you about me. I was nothing at all. Took a trip to London just to hear how they talk. Back to 4-0, you should hear how they talk. He might be Mr. Track and Field, but I done ran through them all. Yeah, that nigga played the game just to watch how we ball.